Hi, everybody, and welcome. Today is Sunday, June 8th. Actually, it's a 1 week before, I believe, Father's Day, and we're pre-recording this because of some other things that are coming up in our lives here for tomorrow. But I'm here with Ellen again on our aha moments, and this week again we're continuing to talk about conscious living. And Ellen, we left off last week with an explanation of how low self-esteem or self-esteem and self-worth are not necessarily the same thing. Could you share with that again, bring us up to date to what we're talking about? Oh, by
Yes,
the way, hello. Hello.
yes. Um, I definitely would like to explain it to you, but a lot of times a good way of explaining it covers can give an example or tell a story. So what I've decided to do today is to tell you a story of how my self-worth and low self-esteem can influence in our lives. Okay, so when you have self-worth, like we mentioned before, you know who you are, you know what you're willing to take, you know what you're not willing to take, and you have a set of standards actually. And not only that, but also the jobs that you take or the career that you go for. And if you're an entrepreneur, an entrepreneur is always selling themselves, always selling their business. Whether you're working for yourself, whether you are an independent contractor, or you're working for a company, okay, you're always selling yourself. And a lot of times we sell ourselves short due to the fact that our self-worth is low. So the story that I want to tell you about is about a salesperson who the manager knew since he was growing up, and he kind of liked this guy, and he believed in him. He really thought that he could do great things and make a lot of money. So what he did is that he put him in a region that the company for years have been making high profits. So at the end of the year, the salesperson only made $15,000. And this is a region that used to make $40,000, $50,000 a year because it was one of those high-end regions. And the head managers of the manager called him very upset and said, you know what? I don't know what's going on, but this salesperson that you have in this region, you have to get rid of him, fire him. He's just gonna take us to bankruptcy because the region that we have been making over $40,000, $50,000 a year, we make 15,000. That does not make no sense. And we know it has to do with him, not because of the region. So the manager felt bad. He didn't want to fire the guy because he had some, he liked the guy. So what he did is he said, I'm gonna put him in a region that does really bad, that doesn't produce much money. And this region used to make maybe $5,000 to $10,000 if that. And he said, and he's gonna get so frustrated because he has to work even harder. And so now he's gonna just quit. Okay, so instead of me firing him, he's gonna quit. That would be easier for me and for him. So the following year, the salesperson was put into this lower profit region. At the end of the year, he made $15,000 again. The head managers called the manager and say, what the heck do you do? How is it that he made $15,000? That region has never done $15,000. The most that we have made is $10,000. How did he did that? What did you do? What type of training you gave him? What did you say to him? And so the moral of the story is that it wasn't what the manager said to the guy, because he didn't say anything to him. He just put him in this region so he can quit because it was going to be so hard for him to make money. But The guy, there's an example of his self-worth. He saw himself as a $15,000 producer. He couldn't see himself in a higher rank earning income. Okay, so it wasn't about where he was put, in what region he was set. It was about what he thought about him. It was about what he thought he was worth, how much income he's deserving to make. And a lot of times, I can promise you that if you really look into yourself, into your life, the type of jobs that you have taken, the type of responsibilities that you have taken upon yourself, and how much money you're making a year, whether it is because you're working for somebody or you're working for yourself, you're making whatever you're making because that's the amount of money that you have set yourself to, that you're worth it. You don't think, and this is not something that you consciously say, I'm only worth $15,000. And I'm just putting a $15,000 out there for you. But I know that you have your number. And I want you to really think about what you think you're worth. And that's just money wise. But what about what about the relationship that you get yourself in? Whether it's loving relationship, the relationship that you have with children, if you have children, with your significant other, with family, with co-workers, wherever you're working, what are you willing to take? Or what are you willing to give?
Ellen, what I mean, this guy here that was, I guess, comfortable with $15,000. If he was in that territory and say was only doing 12 or 13, what might be some of his thought processes? What might he be thinking about?
I don't think that is done consciously. Number one, I think it's ingrained, like I have mentioned in weeks before, our ingrained beliefs about ourselves, and that has something to do with our environment. How we see ourselves and how other people, we think that other people see us. So a lot of times has to do with we're afraid of going outside our comfort zone. And going outside of your comfort zone has to do with what you believe about yourself. Okay? Because if you know that you can do better, you're gonna work at it and you're gonna go and do it. Because you know that you're not willing to take less than.
So let's stay with that thought. Let's say that the boss was threatening this guy that if he didn't do at least $18,000 in the latter example, do you think he could have done the $18,000, or his comfort zone would have still kept him at the $15,000 area and caused him a lot of life's frustrations?
I don't think that it had to do with what the manager has to tell him because it's something that you do it. Is you have to change your belief system. You change your belief system. There has to be a reframing of your belief about who you are. And when you know who you are, that's why I keep saying, when you understand who you really are. And a lot of us don't know who we are. We just think that we are, I'm Ellen, I work for XYZ company, and this is how much I make. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, but that's not who I am. That's not who I am. I'm more than that. Those are just identities that I identify myself with. But that's not who I am. I am more than that. There's a divine essence in me, in you, that if you know that you're deserving or of more, you just have to continue to your belief system about who you really are.
So I'm getting this as something like a cruise control on a car. If we're out on the expressway and we set the cruise control for 65 miles an hour, it's going to that level of self-worth is going to keep you at 65 miles an hour, whether you're going down a hill or going up a hill. Correct?
That's right. That's right. So it's very important. I think that the main thing that we have to work on is, some people that have low self-esteem or low self-worth, they will settle for less, right? Because that's where their self-worth is. Just like this guy, that was a perfect example. He had a low self-worth. He didn't think that he could make more than $15,000 a year. It didn't matter what region he was set in, right? So it's this how he see himself. Though he sees himself as a boundless, limitless person that can make as much money as he wants to, no matter where he's set at or where he's sent at to sell. Or that also goes with the boundaries that we have for ourselves. And like what I really want to say is that low self-esteem and boundaries, is different because boundaries comes from having high self-worth. You said you have intentionally know what you're willing to take and what you're not willing to take. You're not coming from fear. You're coming from a place of these are my standards. And if you can meet my standards, then I don't need to be doing business with you or I need to be around you. Yet when we have low self-worth or low self-esteem, now what we're doing is that we're coming from fear. It's fear based. It's not from the inner knowing. And that's the reason why I say is self-worth is building from the inside out. And self-esteem is all outside of you. It's just the feedback that you get from the outside.
Ellen, we're running out of time here. I guess we're going to continue on this line next week. Go a little deeper, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And I really want you to stay tuned, share the videos with your friends, especially those that that have low self-esteem. Having low self-esteem can be built by reading books and listening to music and going to seminars and things like that. Yet that comes from the outside. But self-worth is really from within. And what I really want you to understand is that self-worth is not something that can be damaged or that can be threatened. Okay, no matter what happens in life, you still have the strength because you know who you are. Self-esteem, anybody can say something that you don't like, and then you feel like, oh God, now I'm not that. Now I feel bad about myself. They could say, oh, your hair doesn't look nice today, or you don't look nice today. What's going on? And that alone, that comment alone can break your day. But when you have high self-esteem, you don't care what people say. You don't care what people think. You don't care. You don't act because of what people say and what people think. You just do because you know this is what you are. This is who you are. That's the difference.
So I don't suppose they should all run out and start asking all the friends, do you have high self-esteem or low self-esteem? I think maybe one way they could look at it is if they've got a friend who just doesn't seem to get ahead in areas they're talking about, maybe relationships or business or something that they keep reaching a level and they keep saying they want to go higher, but they have a tendency not to go higher. Would that be true? The way to say, look at their friend.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go out and say to your friend, hey, you got low self-esteem, look at this video, right?
No, no. But you can tell your friends, I found this video is really interesting. I learned so much. Why don't you take a look at it? You don't have to tell them anything. They will know.
Okay. Right. I guess that's a cool place to end today. So everybody, we will all see you next week, next Monday the 16th. And Ellen, say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you for watching and thank you for sharing. I appreciate it very much. And remember, I need your comments. I need to hear what you think about these videos. It's very important for me to continue doing this. So I appreciate everything that you do for sharing and for commenting and for continuing the conversation. Hasta la vista, mi gente. Bye-bye.